We spend all this time talking on Talent Insights and all our different shows about how people should hire, giving free advice to everyone, including our competitors, none of which follow it after 2 years. But then we actually do it publicly, and you can see, and now we're actually going to show you how well it works. So if you want to tune in, check out all of our content, you'll find out what we recommend people to do in terms of going out their hiring processes. But we eat our own dog food. This is the stuff we do ourselves. It's been a cool year. So Maggie, why don't you reintroduce yourself for people who, because you joined us fairly recently, but you have a really integral role with here at Hirewell. So
hi, I'm Maggie. I am the internal recruiter here at Hirewell. I joined literally it's 2 months on the dot that I've been here. So 2 months ago, I joined on board, and here we are talking about new hires.
So anybody who interviews the Hirewell, Maggie, also known as Maggie, is your point person, in case you missed that video. Some metrics here. What's the breakdown? How many people have we had start? At the beginning of the year, we were roughly 50. Is that right?
Yeah. Okay. So right now we have 75 total employees. And since the beginning of the year, 2021, we have 27 new teams started with us.
Got it. We're up 27 on the year. So just over 50% growth in the year in a market that's hard to hire for, in a skill set that's hard to hire for. Okay, cool. Breaking it down, just so people kind of knows the types of recruiters we're hiring for. 9 of those are from our managed services group. And so our managed services group is the team that actually is embedded with our clients. So on-demand recruiting is one of the popular ways of kind of describing that. We added 10 people from tech, 10 tech recruiters, 2 HR recruiters, 2 sales recruiters, 2 marketing recruiters, 1 finance and accounting recruiter, and you.
Yes, the internal recruiter.
Okay. So what we did was we actually did a survey of all of our all the new hires, because we wanted to redo our career site because I'm not happy with it. I think it kind of sucks. I think we need to redo it. But instead of saying, here's why I think people are going to like about Hirewell, it's why don't we actually ask people what they like about Hirewell, why they even joined us in the first place? We didn't get 27 responses, but that's because I think we did the survey a few weeks ago before we had all these people hired. So we had about 19 responses or so.
4 people start this week who are not included on that quite yet.
Got it.
But we'll get their 2 cents too.
Got it. Okay. So the first question was, how did people originally hear about us?
So we broke it down in to percentages for this. So 42% of people heard about us on LinkedIn, our, content, things like that. The other 42 was through referrals, internal employees with us here.
10% direct outreach, and one person mentioned they applied.
Yes, correct.
Which I think is important, because really it's been employee referrals and being active on LinkedIn. That's basically how we made our year in terms of being able to hire people, which people should let sink in, because if you're trying to build out your organization for higher skill sets, you have to, 1, build an organization people want to work for, that way they refer their friends, and 2, get your brand built. And if you can do those 2 things well, everything else falls into place.
For sure.
Second thing we've got into was we wanted to ask people what else they were looking at, just to have an idea of kind of when they were considering our company, what else were they considering? So options were another agency, internal roles, mixture of both, or nothing at all. They weren't actually considering anybody else. What was the breakdown, Maggie?
Yep. So largest percentage of that, 36%, we're looking at other agencies. And then next was 26% really didn't have anything else that they were, looking at right now. They were more passively looking. And then 15% were looking at some internal recruiting roles. 21% we're looking at both agency and internal. So really just a mix of recruiting roles.
Yeah. What's interesting is kind of putting those together, because if you added the people who are looking at both, roughly 36% of the people total were looking at internal roles. And that's the one thing I always kind of impress upon people, is that we don't just hire, Hirewell is not just for agency recruiters, but because of that embedded function we have, the on-demand practice and the managed services practice, a lot of the people who work here are really internal recruiters. So something I always keep in mind, because that's not the norm at most agencies, but I think it's something that's really kind of helped us kind of stand apart from our competitors, both when we're in market talking to companies, but also from a talent perspective. A lot of people who thought they'd never work for an agency end up working here because they realize there's cool opportunities to kind of continue doing internal work while always working on cool projects.
Totally.
All right. Now's when we got the fun stuff, is when we started getting into more open-ended answers, and so just drawing correlations. It looks like there were three primary things that attracted people to work here. So why don't you give us like a quick overview there?
Yep, for sure. Culture and people was, like the big thing. And then our like content creation, being able to be part of like a creative team was another big part of it. And then tenure and growth kind of in two different ways were also one of the main things people touched on. So one, just the fact that a lot of people within the organization have like been promoted into their roles. And then also just the ability to take kind of unique paths to growth. A lot of people have, unique ways they got into their current positions here at Hirewell.
So if I'm going to summarize that up, the three things, because they're all interconnected. One, you have to make a culture where people don't suck. So just hire good people and more good people want to join you. Two, you retain people by giving people growth opportunities, but that also attracts people. So we have a lot of people like myself. I've been here 16 years now because I'm basically in my fourth different job at Hirewell, but that's very much the norm. People doing different stuff. And then three, just you got to talk about it, build a cool culture, give people growth opportunities, be intentional about your growth, but then like communicate with the outside world what you're doing, and it'll make it easy to hire. The next one, actually, I thought was hysterical. We didn't really get anything good out of this.
That's true.
We just asked a question like, who impressed you the most? Really,
I think you just wanted the tea.
I wanted some tea to see like what people had to say, if there's any dirt being talked. And I don't know, what was your take here?
Yeah, I mean, it really did depend. So we just asked who kind of impressed you, influenced you into, joining our team during the interview process. And it really depended on just who people were interviewing with, what team. So just management in general, like had a really good impression on people. And then I think the part that you think is so funny is people. Go ahead.
Someone mentioned Matt is not intimidating.
Yes.
I don't know why I found that so hysterically funny, because of course he's not intimidating, but yeah, that was specifically called out as a reason why someone wanted to join us, because Matt Masucci is not an intimidating force. So good job, Matt.
Exactly.
And the last question we got. So we want to know why people accepted. What was it about the organization that made people actually want to come here, join the organization? So what do we got there?
Yep. A few different things here. So culture was the main thing. Again, the people, you'll hear that a lot here. Remote flexibility and just like a good commission structure and, comp structure. Again, kind of touching on the Matt part of that, people had a leadership presence that they were like comfortable with. And then career growth is another big thing. And then just someone put it very just lack of negatives. They just really kind of liked everything they saw in the process.
All right. So we gained a lot of detail on this, and we're going to take, I don't know what the time frame is here. I hate to overpromise, underdeliver, but we are going to be updating our career site to talk about specifically things from the team, why they wanted to join us, as the reasons why people should want to join us, as opposed to me just making shit up. So that'll be the next chapter in kind of redoing this. But anyone out there, if you want to know what worked, it's basically build a cool culture, give growth opportunities, then talk about it. And if you can do that, because your brand will get out there, your employer brand, as we'd like to say, worst term in the world, but also just in terms of your employees are going to refer more people, and then it's just going to happen. So then you have to have someone great like Maggie driving the charge, putting it all together.
Thank you.
Getting the hiring done. You're welcome.